All right.
Okay, can you please introduce yourself to my class?
My name is Tanya Paul Rozak. I am a chemist at a pharmaceutical company, and I am also an independent author under the name of Tanya S.M. Kennedy.
Okay, so I'll ask you the question that I've had is, why did you decide to be an author while being a chemist? Did you always want to be an author and it was now you had the opportunity to do it, or how did this happen?
Well, it's kind of a weird situation that came about. I was in college at the time, going to applying to veterinary school, and I learned that I'm not really political enough for veterinary school. And one of the things they told me is that I didn't communicate well. So I was like, all right. And I decided, I always like to read and I always like to write. So I was like, well, I'm just going to write a book. Said I can't communicate well. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to write a book. And I got into it, and it's just something I enjoy now. Like, I like to read, but I can't always find what exactly I'm looking for. So when I write, I have exactly what I'm looking for because I'm the one making it up.
And when you write these books, what audience are the books written for?
I mean, essentially, I'm writing for myself. So
Okay.
People that like me, like women that are looking for a good fantasy novel.
Okay. What skills do you need to be an author?
Well, obviously you have to have a good imagination. Strangely, you really need to be good at research. You have to be able to research what you're writing about. If you're looking to fit a certain niche, you have to be able to research what is popular in that niche. You have to be able to understand what people are looking for. You have to be good at marketing, depending on whether you're going to be independent or if you're going to publish through a publisher. Like, you really have to be a jack of many trades. You have to be able to edit your own work. You have to be able to have good personal skills to be able to work with an editor or with other authors, or basically anybody you're going to end up running into. You have to like learning, because you're always learning something new. The market's always changing. Everything you're doing is always changing. You have to know all social media stuff, because you have to do a lot of things on social media. You have to learn how to do advertising. It's insane how many things you have to learn. You have to learn to be a good student, pretty much.
So when did you write your first book?
When?
Yeah.
Straight out of college. Like,
okay,
it was my first year out of college. I wrote the book, and then I looked into getting it published right after that.
So what year was it?
Oh Lord, you're making me date myself. 2003, I believe, or 2004.
You're dating yourself. I graduated in 1988 from college. I'm not dating you. Anyhow,
I'm not that far behind you.
Yes, you are. Trust me. So when you wrote your first book, and did you have to do all this stuff? Was self-publishing an option then?
It was an option. It may not have been quite as socially acceptable back then. And I will say, when I wrote my first book, I was very naive. I did not have any of the knowledge that I do now. I mean, obviously I've been learning as I go, but like, I didn't have a lot of the knowledge that would have been helpful to me at the time. So I ended up going through a vanity press called Publish America. And it was useful at the time, but I have learned a lot more in my working through what I've done and through my research of what I've done wrong in the past. But yeah, it was always a good experience. I got that first publishing under my belt. I was able to sell a few books. I did a couple of signings. It was a good experience. I don't regret having that experience. I do regret the mistakes I made, but you learn from them and you move on.
So the world of publishing or self-publishing, I take it has changed drastically since you published your first book.
It is changing basically every day. I mean, literally, there's always something new to look to have to deal with, to have to learn, to have to know what you're doing. It's a constant learning process.
So one of the things, if you are an author, a lot of people think that you're isolated in a room when you write. Are you?
It probably would go a little better like that, but I write pretty much anywhere. Most of the time, I'm sitting on the couch with my laptop on my lap. I have notebooks. I have notebooks here. I'm at work. I have a notebook in my backpack upstairs. I'll write at lunch if I get excited. If I have a break, I'll pull out a notebook and I'll start writing there. I mean, you don't have to be isolated, but you can if you want to. Sometimes it's a little more productive that way. It is a very good hobby for people who are introverted, which I am. But then you also have to be able to get out of that because you still have to be able to promote and sell yourself. So that's the hard part for me because again, I am very introverted. I'm very, very self-conscious about my work. Like it's always the catch-22. It's like, I want people to read my stuff, but then they're reading it. I'm like, oh my God, I hope they like it. Like you're terrified of what they're going to say.
So do you use your writing as a tool for relaxation?
I do sometimes. Yeah, it's definitely, if I'm writing something I'm enjoying, which is what I try to do, I try to make sure that I enjoy what I'm writing. At least one person likes it, right? That's always my theory. If I like it, at least someone likes it. And yeah, it's definitely relaxing. I can get out of the real world and get into something a little more fun, a little more exciting.
How many books have you written so far?
I am up to 5. I am working on my 6th full-length book, and I worked on a prequel for the series that I'm working on currently.
Now, are you waiting for your big break, or are you happy where you're at right now? Because they always say that eventually, if the right person gets their hand on a book and likes it, that can make a world of difference.
It can, but really, if you're an independent author and you're waiting for your break, you're going to be waiting forever. That's pretty much how it is. That if you want your break, you have to work for it, and that's what I've been doing for the past several years. I've been working, building my audience. I've been going to different shows, trying to connect with people, trying to get new fans, trying to get new readers. It's all about building your readership. There's no magic button. There's a lot of people out there that tell you like, hey, I got this magic button, but what works for some people may not always work for other people. And it's all a learning process. You go out, you try to get people to read your stuff. If they like it, maybe they become a fan, maybe they don't. There's no magic big break that you're working for.
So we were on your website the other day when Kai's and I were talking about having you in class, and I was noticing some of the book covers.
Mm-hmm.
Those book covers are professionally done, correct?
Yes, they are. So that's another thing that I've learned in my process of being an independent author. I'm actually like, I am an artist. I enjoy drawing and coloring, but that's not the route you want to go. Unless you are a designer, you do not want to go the route of, I'm going to make my own cover. So when I first published my first book, I had an idea of what I wanted. And with the Vanity Press, they're like, okay, this is what we want your cover to look for. And it had nothing that I wanted on there. I was like, this does not look like my book at all. So this is totally wrong. So I sent them a little sketch that I had done. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And they just took that and they put that on the cover. And it was quite ridiculous. Now that I look at it, it's just completely ridiculous. So I was like, okay, first thing I did is I'm going to update my covers. So then I went and I found other artists who I thought did well, and actually ended up with a picture from my cousin. And he painted this beautiful watercolor. It's gorgeous. And I made that my cover. And then I was like, okay, I like this cover. This is better. This is better. I like it. But it wasn't what the book needed. So then what I did was I did some research. There's that research again. So I did some research and I got onto this website that just had people who designed book covers. That's what they did. And you could go through and you could find what you like and you purchase the book cover and you could have your professional book cover that way. And I got a couple through there and I really liked those. I was like, okay, this is nice. This is nice. And then I started searching on Facebook because I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for the books that for the books that I had coming out. And I found many artists and I just started following them. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like your work. Your work is nice. All right. I like that work. That work is nice. And one of the best things about being an independent author is that I can go through and I can update things as I see fit or as necessary. So if I went through and I decided I was going to update the covers for that first book, I wanted something more professional. So I found a cover artist and I got her, I got assigned with a time for her and we worked together and she came out with a gorgeous cover. I absolutely love it. And that was a way that I updated that book. It's like, okay, now I have my new cover. So I've got that. I got it professionally edited, which was something I was a little leery about because, I don't know what they're going to change. This is a fantasy novel. There's all sorts of crazy words in there. And like, I don't want them to be like, oh, that's not a word. I'm going to make this into a new word. I didn't know what they were going to do. And I really lucked out because I was able to find the editor that I'm still working with currently. And she is absolutely amazing. She really makes my work so much better. And she's so great to work with. Like she doesn't tell me what I want to hear. Like she doesn't really sugarcoat anything. She's like, listen, this is garbage. This is good. Fix it to this and it'll be better. So she really doesn't pull any punches, but she definitely, makes everything work a little bit better. So every step that I can make towards a better product makes me a better author to sell myself. So I really I love working with cover artists. Mostly what I've been doing, I've got a couple again, pre-mades that people have made. And I'll be like, oh, I like that. That would work for my book and I'll buy that. But then I have also where I can I can contact and make custom work so that I can have a book that more matches the story that I am trying to sell.
Does a good cover make a difference?
A good cover makes all the difference. Like people buy books with their eyes first. They're looking for a cover that is intriguing to them, looks professional, and matches the genre that they're looking for. And all of those things are, it's not always the easiest thing to do. That's why, independent authors, they change their covers often because they're trying to find that cover that matches their book, that matches their genre, that will help them sell their work. So all you get when people are searching for books, you get tiny little thumbnail that needs to pull them in so that they actually read further into what you're looking at. So you need a cover that's going to fit in and stand out at the same time. It's not always the easiest thing to do. And that's where your research comes in. You want to look at other books that are similar to yours that are selling, be like, okay, what does their cover have that maybe I could utilize with my cover to try to get it to look kind of like that. So people understand that my book is like their book and they might like my book if they like that book.
Okay. So, because everything I hear, and it's because of who I am at my age, I see dollar signs. That's to publish your own book.
So yes, money can be a little difficult. You can publish a book for free. You literally can. It may not be the best quality you can produce, but there are ways to get around prices. Like I do spend a premium on my editor because I do believe she is worth it. Right. She does a lot of good things, and I spend a decent amount on my covers just because I think they're worth it. But you can go through and you can do research and you can take classes and you can actually make your own covers. There are a lot of great programs out there where you can get on Canva and they have a free version of it and you can actually make your own cover that looks relatively professional and you can start selling a book without actually paying anything. Now me, I actually prefer my time more than money. So I'm like, listen, I need more time. I'm going to pay this person over here who knows what they're doing and actually get this done faster.
Well, you can do that with Kaiser too. He said he's willing to work for free.
Oh, he always works for free. He doesn't know any better.
Don't tell him that. Now he does. So on your books, how well do they sell? And I know that this is a shot in the dark, but.
So one thing I have learned about being an independent author is you don't look at what other people are doing. Well, you do, but you don't look and try to compare yourself and be like, oh man, this person wrote one book and they were making like millions and millions of dollars. What I'm looking for is, am I doing better than I did?
Okay.
And I'm continuing to build on. Now I am definitely doing better than I did. I'm learning what works and what doesn't work so that I can increase my sales. I have not found that magic level that is starting to break even yet, but I am like, right now it's a labor of love, and I'm learning how to make it a profitable labor of love.
Okay.
And there are definitely ways that you can increase your likelihood of making more money. Like, again, with the research, you can go in and be like, okay, I want to write in this genre. What's popular right now? What's making the money right now? And I can write tailored to that particular trend and make myself more profitable that way. But that's not something that I want. I want to write what I want to write. So I have to figure out how to fit it into the niche to make that money. So it's a little more complicated. But where I wanting to work towards being just a full-time writer and making more money for my books, that's a route that I could be going down, putting the research into finding out what's selling right now and basically tailoring myself to that genre and to that niche.
Okay.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just not what I'm doing at this precise moment in time.
So now I want to switch. You're also a chemist, correct?
Yes. Yes, I am a chemist. Sorry, go on.
When did you decide to be a chemist? Because I know you mentioned about the vet being too political. Was that when you decided, or?
So the school that I went to for pre-veterinary medicine, when you're doing that, when you're going through that curricula, if you take 2 more classes, you can double major. So I double majored as pre-veterinary medicine and biology. So I have a chemistry minor. I have a lot of math in my background. And when I got out of college, my first like degree related job, I worked at a research school in Ohio.
Okay.
And I actually ran rats on treadmills. That was my job. I ran rats on treadmills. And then I went and I worked with another lab there that studied stress in fish and reproduction in wild horses. And that was always fun. That was an interesting thing.
So, okay.
And then,
wait, before you go, why do I need to be concerned with the stress in fish?
because it shows you the health of the oceans and their environments, which if you don't have healthy oceans, we don't have healthy life. Like the environment is what keeps us living, what keeps us surviving. If it's not healthy, we're not going to survive.
Okay. So what else did you do before you got to the job you're at right now?
I worked in an environmental lab. This is when I moved back to West Virginia. And what that does is you get samples from places like sewage treatment plants and oil and gas companies, and they bring their samples in and you test them to see if they're safe to go out into the environment. So you're like testing for chemicals and residue before they can release their products to make sure that they're not violating any laws, basically. And then I applied up here at my current job, and my position is chemist. So basically it's just what was available at the time, and that's what I've been doing since then.
Because I know when the kids think of chemists, they think of a mad scientist, because they really don't explain to them what chemists do. Can you explain to me what a chemist does?
Well, the chemists at my company currently, what we do is we test pharmaceuticals to make sure that they're safe before they're released out into the market, and even we test them as they're out in the market. So what we're doing is we're doing quality control testing. Okay. So we test everything that comes through this facility. We test it from the raw material that comes in the door. We test bottles and packaging and the seals that go on the bottles. And then it's processed into intermediates, and we test those, and we test the blends to make sure it's the right mixture before it goes into encapsulation, or what do we call it, compressing. And then we test it before it goes out into the market, and then we test it while it's in the market to make sure that it is safe and effective for our customers.
Okay, so I take it you're working at Mylan?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're at Mylan and you're doing this, you said you test the bottles too?
Yes, we test bottles.
Is that because
We test everything? It's madness.
Is that because you're wondering what is going to rub off onto the medication the individual takes, if anything does?
Most of what we test the bottles for, I know we measure size, we measure how much light goes through the bottles, because most products are light sensitive. We don't want the light to mess it. We have a test that tests the moisture permeability, because moisture affects product as well. Yeah, we test the actual composite of the bottle to make sure that it is what we are saying it is, so that it is safe to put our product into. Like, we put a lot of effort into making sure everything we put out is as safe as it can be.
Because I'm sure that one of the reasons why it is so intensive is because of the Tylenol scare that happened years ago.
I mean, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, like, a lot of things have gone into the rules and regulations that govern the pharmaceutical industry, and it's pretty intense. Like, when we have an FDA audit, people are like, "Oh, the FDA." Trust me, the FDA cares a lot. Like, they went through our trash before. Like, they will dig until they find something, and they will niggle at it until they get to the truth. They are very intensive. They're very intense. But yeah, I mean, before the FDA, there wasn't really much regulation on pharmaceuticals, and there are a lot of really big stories that you can look up that'll show the dangers of different pharmaceuticals that may not have been tested as appropriately as they should have been. Like, not only the Tylenol, because that was actually a product tampering issue,
Right.
but there was stuff like thalidomide that was released as it was for morning sickness, and they just prescribed it to everybody for morning sickness. And then they realized that it was actually causing birth defects, like severe birth defects. And there were generations of children born with this birth defect because of not enough testing on this product that before it went out into the public for consumption. So yeah, we put a lot of effort into making sure that everything we release is as safe as we can make it, and we make sure that it is safe while it is actually still out in the field as well.
So if you can break it down for me, how much education is needed to be a chemist, to do what you do? Because to me, it sounds like a lot.
So I currently have a Bachelor of Science degree, which is a lot of our people have some kind of bachelor's degree in some type of scientific background. But it's not necessary. We have people called chem assistants that actually were hired without a college degree. They were hired as chem assistants straight out of high school or after whatever job they have. And they did certain testings, but they weren't allowed historically to do as many testings as the chemists. But through experience and education, they were able to actually learn to do more testing. So we have them now that they can do as many tests as a chemist does. But they also don't hire anymore without a college degree. So yeah, definitely a bachelor's degree, if you're going to be a chemist, is necessary for most places anyway.
So what education in high school did you get that was valuable towards what you're doing now?
So I will say I never actually took chemistry in high school, but I did love biology. Like, I loved all my science classes. And honestly, I loved all my English classes, obviously, as I'm an author. But yeah, you need your science. You need you do need your English just because you have to interpret what they're telling you to do, and you have to be able to understand what your SOPs and your procedures are. And I actually, one of the things I currently do is I am an author of SOPs to make sure that what tests we're doing them appropriately in the same way every time, so that we get results that are trustworthy and reliable.
Do you enjoy your job?
Most days I enjoy my job. Some days it's a little stressful. Like, I will say, working in the pharmaceutical industry, if you're not ready for stress, you're in the wrong place, because, like, again, any day, any kind of regulation, and I know we focus a lot on the FDA, but we have more than the FDA because we sell products to other countries. So we have the European pharmaceutical industry coming in and checking on us. We have Canada coming in and checking on us. We had, like, any country that we sell in, they can come and they can inspect us, and we have inspections from our own company. And so, yeah, you're always looking for, because if you make mistakes in the pharmaceutical industry, not only is it personally, you can get fired, you can get fined, you can actually go to jail if it's a bad enough mistake, but people's lives are at stake. I mean, you really need to make sure that you're on your game and you're doing things as you should be doing it, just to make sure that people are safe. Like, Mylan, it's been a very good company for a lot of us. They give us free medication for our parents. So my mom and dad, they get free medication through Mylan. They get anything Mylan makes, they can get for free. And I want to make sure that whatever they're getting is as safe as I can make it. So I make sure, I think of every one of our customers, like, this could be my parents taking this. I want to make sure it's safe.
That's interesting. I didn't know that, because we have talked to pharmacists before, and I don't know if you have to, do other people in the medical profession realize how much work you do before your product goes to them?
I mean, they should have at least some kind of idea what kind of testing we do. I don't know if they know quite the extent of what all we do, but they should have some idea that there's definitely regulations around the medication before they get to it.
So where you're at right now, is there movement to move up the ladder in positions, or are you where you're going to be?
I mean, I'm content where I am, because I'm a weirdo. Like, there's a lot of places I could move to, but they're not interesting to me. So I don't move anywhere. But yeah, there's a lot of movement where I can go. I've actually done a lot of different things, even as a chemist. Like, I've never changed my role as a chemist. Like, I've gone from a chemist, and then I was a senior chemist, and now I'm a lead chemist, but I'm still a chemist. But what I do is different. Like, when I started, I was a bench chemist. I did the quality control testing. I ran product. I did this, that, and the other. And then I became a trainer. So I started training people to do the tests. And then I became an author. So I started writing SOPs and forms for all the work that we do. And I've worked on investigations. And then I started working with instrumentation. I started becoming a validation expert. And then I started working in validation. And currently I help with our metrology group, which takes care of our instrumentation. So sometimes I'm working with a vendor on working on our instrumentation. Sometimes I'm troubleshooting an instrument. Sometimes I'm working on updating it. I'm all over the place. There's a lot of flexibility within my current role.
Okay.
And there's a lot of places that I could expand upon to go into a different area of the company if I were to want to do that.
Are there jobs available in what you do?
There are many jobs available in what I do. The problem would be finding them locally.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you guys know that Mylan is actually shutting down here soon. Global Mylan. Well, hey, yeah, it is. So Global Mylan is actually still going to, well, we're not Mylan anymore. We're Viatris. So global positions will still be here, but the local facility itself is actually going to close. But there are other places. There's NIOSH that would be a place that my skills would definitely be able to transition to.
Okay.
There's a lot of places at the hospital that would a lot of my skills would be able to be transferable to as well. It just depends on where you want to go. I mean, if you want to work in the pharmaceutical industry, there are untold numbers of companies that you can end up working for. It just is all a matter of finding them and if that's where you want to go.
Do you make a good living working at Milan?
Milan was a very good job to have. Yes. Like they paid us very well. They treated us pretty well. Better before they went global. I'll give you that. But
Okay.
yeah, they've treated us pretty good. It's stressful, but they definitely make up for it. We get bonuses every year. We get really, really good health insurance. Our health insurance is quite amazing, which is, I know you guys are young, you probably don't think about health insurance, but it's definitely a huge plus if you have good health insurance.
So so when Milan closes there, are you out of work, or are you staying with them, or are you going somewhere else?
I will be leaving Milan when they shut down.
Okay.
What I'm intending to do, actually, I don't know how well it's going to work, but my intention is I'm actually hoping to fall back on part of my writing career.
Okay.
And I'm going to continue to write my books, but I'm actually going to go into something called copywriting.
Yes.
Which is basically anything you read is copywriting. So articles for magazines, ads, Facebook content, even just descriptions of product on Amazon, all the emails that you get through newsletters and stuff, like all of that is copywriting. And that's actually something that I've been working towards since the announcement of the layoffs has started. So that's something that I'm hoping to get into when I get more time, because right now I'm currently working 2 full-time jobs, being a writer and a chemist.
Right.
But I will have time to start working on that part of my writing career once.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to talking to us today. I really do, because
I really appreciate it. It's been quite fun.
Being able to have someone with actually doing 2 careers pretty much simultaneously and actually fostering one that they want to do eventually, which I can tell that if you could, you'd be an author full time, and the chemistry would just go away. So that's kind of cool to talk about it, because I don't think these guys realize how much work it is just to keep one job, let alone keeping 2 jobs afloat and being able to do that, especially when I would consider you an entrepreneur when it comes to your writing, because you are your marketer, you are the writer, you are the promotion, you are everything, and being able to do that. So
yeah, it's a little crazy sometimes, but no one ever said I was sane.
well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking time today, and I wish you the best of luck.
All right, thank you. It was great being here. Thanks, everybody.
I think that was you, not to me.